risking being out for another month.
And then we'll be into the game.
Welcome to the WNBL. That's a nice finish.
Perfect start for her.
Floats it up and in.
Not many players could have got that ball.
He hits the dagger.
Hits another three.
Out on the run. It's a nice finish there.
And she works her way in.
Win three ball is good. Talbot up top. She'll catch and shoot. Clean look for three. Go. Makes her move and one. They are pumped over there. Round 3 of WNBL action continues with a Sunday doubleheader that tips off in the nation's capital. It's the UC Caps hosting the Adelaide Lightning. Two teams who have had to roll with the punches in the lead up to this game. The Lightning have only been together as a squad for 3.5 weeks. No pre-season matches to prepare. A couple of hit-outs with some local teams in Adelaide, and they roll into Canberra to take on the two-time champs from a couple of years ago. Jason Bennett welcoming you to Sunday afternoon WNBL. I'm alongside the three-time WNBL champion, the 326 gamer, Alison Downey. Al, great to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We've already seen so far in this competition it's going to be very unpredictable. It's going to be very even, and on any given day, anyone can beat anyone. But particularly with these two teams, they've both had such unusual preparations. We've just spoken about the Lightning not having any pre-season to speak of. And the Caps, well, they haven't played for 2 weeks. They spent 7 days in quarantine after a COVID scare.
Yeah, and it'll probably be like round 1 again for the Caps, having that time off and not being able to train together for isolation. So we'll see how they go.
It's going to be very interesting indeed for these two teams as they head into Canberra for the first time to play in front of their home crowd. The Caps, since they won the title way back 21 months ago, they missed the playoffs for 7 straight years from 2011, but all that changed in 2018-19 under Paul Goris. They surged up the ladder, claimed back-to-back championships. Last season, they bowed out in the semis to the Boomers. They remain in championship mode this season. Paul Goris, their coach, likes the pieces. He likes the chemistry, but no Kelsey Griffin today, Al. She's week to week after she suffered facial fractures in the season opener.
And that's a big loss for them. She's quite a scoring power. She's experienced. She's sort of a bit of a rock of the team. So someone's going to have to step up and fill in that position.
From an Adelaide perspective, well, they were grand finalists a couple of years ago, 2018-19, semi-finalists the following season. They missed the playoffs last year. They went 5-8. But Chris Lucas, their veteran coach, he's excited by the challenge of rejuvenating this Lightning team, and he's brought in 3 extremely talented new starters to help him do it. Aussie Alana Smith and American WNBA duo Kiana Williams and Kylie Shook.
Yeah, and I really like the look of this team. I like the talent, as you said, coming through, and they're young and they're vibrant, so, you know, they're fun to watch.
There's the reigning MVP, Steph Talbot, as well. So they've got elite talent at the top end. They've got some exciting youngsters coming through. As I mentioned, the Canberra Caps haven't played in 14 days after that round 2 clash was postponed when a member of the club tested positive for COVID, so they all went into a 7-day quarantine. They got out in time to squeeze in a few days of practice to prepare for this afternoon's contest. And Paul Goris, philosophical. Every team's going to have to be adaptable and resilient. It's just the way of the world right now.
Absolutely, and it's not going to be the first time this happens. So there's going to be another team that's going to be stuck in isolation, a game cancelled. We're all in the same boat, and we'll see how the season plays out.
They opened their season, the Caps, with a gritty come-from-behind win over the Flames in round 1. They were jumped early. They trailed at the first 3 breaks. They managed to steady and work their way back into the game. They hit the front in the final term. The Flames surged late. They hung on for a nail-biting 3-point win. As you say, they play a game, miss a couple of weeks, and basically have to start again.
They do. And they're missing those key players, Kelsey Griffin, Talia Tupay, a little bit of experience. So, you know, we'll see how they go today. They've
always been a defence-first team under Paul Goris, and that won't change this year, which makes this important. Brittany Sykes from the US, the perfect inclusion. She led the WNBA in steals this season, made their all-defensive team. She's got real stopping power.
She really does, and it's great to see a defensive player come into the league, but she can also back it up with scoring, so it makes her a real holistic player.
So no Kelsey Griffin, no Talia Tupay, as you mentioned. She's got a shoulder problem. She took a hit in this game against Sydney. In fact, she's had a series of hits to that shoulder in recent weeks, so they're taking a cautious approach with Talia. Might be a 2-week injury, according to Paul Goris. She's had such a rotten run in recent years. Shanice Swain, one of their youngsters, has had a stress reaction in her shins, so she's probably 2 to 3 weeks away. And then their young gun, Gemma Potter, continues her rehab from an ACL tear suffered at the National Champs this year, so hopefully she's back for the second half of the season. So they're a little bit down on personnel, Canberra. The Lightning are down on preparation. It makes for a very interesting game.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this game. I think it's going to be quite quick at the beginning, and then it will be a matter of slowing down and the defensive structures that each team have.
Speaking with Paul Goris, there he is during the week, said they are still in championship mode. He's very impressed by the talent that's in this entire league right now. As we take a look at their starting 5, Britt Smart comes in, a veteran, a catch-and-shoot player for the Caps. Froling, Sykes, Kelly Wilson, another veteran, and Alex Bunton. Fantastic to see her back in the league.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see Bunce back in the league. She's got a lot to give, and I think as the season goes on, we'll see how good she can really be.
So still a very experienced lineup for the Caps. We take a look at the Lightning. Steph Talbot, the reigning MVP. Alana Smith we'll talk more about shortly. Really talented youngster in Abby Werren coming through, and then their 2 imports, Williams and Shook.
Yeah, and as I said before, they'll be quick. They'll look to run the ball and try and probably run the legs out of Canberra, as they haven't been on the court for 2 weeks.
So the Caps, as we know, they like to get out in fast break and get those cheap transition points. They come off the back of that defence. The old philosophy of defence creates offence. There's Kelly Wilson, another who's returned to the league, the veteran. Game number 397 for Kelly this afternoon. Had her son Ted in February. Played a few NBL 1 games rather during the year. Saw the other WNBL mums out there doing it and thought, you know what, I've got the bug back. It's great to see her in the competition once again.
Yeah, it's really good to see her, and it's really exciting that she's going to get to that 400-game mark.
So WNBL basketball returns to the nation's capital for the first time in 21 months. It's round 3 action. It's the Caps and the Lightning from Canberra's National Convention Centre. We are set to go. Adelaide take possession to begin. Quick points for Alana Smith. She's straight on the board.
It's a bit stiff for Canberra. I think Sykes won that, but won it a bit too much.
So Wilson running the point here for the Caps. He's got Williams for company. Screen from Bunton. Wilson walks to the hoop. And ties it up.
It's always good when Kelly hits her first shot, gets her eye in, and she'll be tough to stop.
Williams to Smith. Here's Talbot out on the right wing. Turnover comes, and here's Sykes. Great speed, great handles, and the ability to get to the rack.
Yeah, she's so quick. You can just see that change of direction, that change of speed as she gets to the basket, and you can't do anything but foul there. 2
ACLs in college, Brittany Sykes in 2014 and then 2015. Still went at pick 7 in the 2017 WNBA draft as an elite talent, made the all-rookie team in 2017. As I mentioned, led the WNBA in steals this season, made the all-defensive team. Played all over the world, experience in Israel, Turkey, Spain. She's ready-made to lead this team.
Her style actually suits this league. Sometimes imports take a little while to get into it, but she's fit right in.
It's Talbot. Smith hasn't played a lot of basketball in the last few years, only 62 games in 3 seasons. Good touch there early.
It's a great start for Alana. I think these are the games where she needs to step up, with Canberra being a bit short with Griffin out.
4 points on the board already for Alana Smith. Sykes to Froling. Now Wilson gets it inside. Bunton tries to work. And Shook couldn't get it to go, and Talbot will clean it up for the Lightning. Quick hands from Warren. Again, we see Smith posting up, trying to take advantage of her size. Ref says flop. And Alana Smith has 6.
It's a great start for Alana, as I said. And I think no charge there because it was in the charge circle, but I think that's a great no call.
Sykes, again, troubling the Lightning with her ability to take it to the hoop. Here's another look.
No comment.
Bright start for Alana Smith. She's got all 6 points so far for the Lightning, and here's Sykes back to the free throw line. And converts them both.
And Adelaide had trouble last week with their fouls. They were high on fouls, so they probably need to just knuckle down on defence a bit because you don't want to get into foul trouble too early.
Lightning looking to go up tempo here. Waring confronted by Smart. Pass tipped off the Talbot hands. 3 ball from Shook. He's short. Button tidies it up off to Wilson. So much experience between those two. Combine again, Bunton, Sykes. Nice little move, got herself some space, couldn't get the shot to go. Smart looks to tidy it up. Behind the back pass to Sykes, keeps it alive. Froling the step, Great defence. Great work from Kylie Shook, and that's one of the strengths of her game. She's a blocking machine.
That's right.
Werung, 3-ball from Williams. Offensive rebound, Smith. Talbot can't get the 3 to go either. And it's a Canberra ball. Sykes. Goes herself. Won't drop. It's Werung's ball. Talbot. Williams sets her feet from the corner. This is a bright start from the Lightning. They're up by 4.
And if the Lightning can keep shooting like that, Canberra are going to be in a bit of strife because they're playing a bit of a zone, I think, off foul shots.
Bit Smart's got the green light to catch and shoot whenever she gets the feet set. Can't get that one to go. Froling to Wilson. Double teamed. Good pressure, Adelaide. It's Kiana Williams, 22-year-old from San Antonio. Glittering college career at Stanford. Now plays WNBA with the Seattle Storm. And here she is, lighting it up for 3.
Well, that's another early foul for them too, which they don't need. It's 3 fouls to 0.
Sykes decides to go herself. There's Talbot. Sizzling pass into the lane, but Shook can't hang on.
It's that transition that they're very good at, Adelaide.
Wilson has got some support. It's Froling. Work to the baseline. Smart. Again through traffic. The look away to Froling wasn't on the same page.
So Roof's come in and she didn't have a great game in round 1. Couldn't really buy a basket, so we'll see. I think she'll have worked on that when she can, when they weren't in isolation, and she's got a chance to make a big impact on this game.
Had 4 days to prepare for this game after coming out of quarantine, so Roof in for Froling. Roof has the defensive job on Alana Smith. Werung. Shook, bounce pass. Talbot couldn't get the finish. Canberra ball once again.
Might be 2 fouls on Alana. Early fouls that they don't want to give away.
And she sits down despite having 6 points. She looks a little nonplussed by that call. Wilson to settle things down a little for the Caps. Bunton works on Shook and does well.
It's smart by Bunton. You go inside, and if it's a foul, they're going to the line, so they need to take it out of them.
Shook to Werung. Create some separation. Here's Chelsea Brook. Nice little floater. Adelaide efficient in offense right now. Wilson weaves. Shook got a hand in. And it's a Canberra ball. So Kylie Shook, #1 all-time blocking player at Louisville. 4 years at college. She was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year in 2020. So just as Sykes adds some defensive steal for Canberra, Shook's going to do likewise for the Lightning. Inbound to Roof. Easy 2 there for the Caps. So back to a 2-point game midway through the opening term. Game 1 of our WNBL doubleheader here on KO this afternoon. Spirit the Boomers to come a little later on as Talbot to Shook. Cleaned up by Sykes. Ambitious pass through traffic. Talbot read it well. And Sykes manages to avoid conceding the foul. Steph Talbot just asking the question.
Like to see that one in replay.
Ask and ye shall receive. All ball?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Good no call.
So Williams takes a rest. Brooks into the game. Here's Werung. Ran into Sykes. Went back for a second look. Ball in dispute. Sykes will get there first for Canberra. to Wilson. Jade Melbourne into the action. Bunton again trying to work on Shook. Melbourne deep three. Not quite. Talbot to Werrung. Simons into the action. This is Talbot. Steps through, creates an opportunity for Brook. Kicks it out. Werrung. Now Simons. Shot clock down to 6. Shook has it. He's got Brook open. Goes herself. Good defence from Canberra.
It's great defence by Canberra. Nice and disruptive. And they're doubling the on-ball, but then they're rotating really well.
Wilson drives, kicks to Melbourne. Out of Roof. They look to spread this Adelaide defence. Roof, cheeky little pass inside to Bunton. Tries the reverse, but Shook's there.
Shook has great hands for those blocks. Would have thought that Bunton would have got through there, but those long limbs. She's got a fingertip to it.
So Casey Samuels into the game for the Caps, the 26-year-old. Bit of a journey woman. She played at the AIS, the Caps, Sydney, Fire. More experience off the bench for Paul Goris, and that's a lovely finish from Jade Melbourne. One of the most talented, exciting youngsters in the competition.
Yeah, she's got a great career ahead of her. She's just really fun to watch.
She locks it up with 3:20 left in the opening term. Brook. Simons thinks about it. Back to Brook. Talbot directing traffic. Not a lot of movement there at the moment for the Lightning on this set. So Talbot flips it back to Werrung. Just lost the handle and Melbourne pounces. This is one of her strengths, Jade Melbourne. Just so quick. Can she turn the corner? She'll draw the foul. Very tough to stay in front of Jade Melbourne when she gets a full head of speed. She is lightning quick.
Yeah, it's a great little steal there, and she knows her strength, and she's going at it.
Not much more Werrung could have done there.
Other than get out of the way,
yeah,
really.
Just not give the foul. So 3 minutes left in the opening term. It's 11 apiece. Lightning with a slightly better start. The Caps have now settled into the rhythm of the game.
The Caps have stopped the Lightning's transition, and when the Lightning have had to run their offense, as you said before, they've been a bit stagnant, which means that the shot clock runs down and the shot is not the best shot.
So Paul Goris is a defence-first coach. They like to build their offense off the back of that alley with those fast break and cheap transition points. He believes he can match any team in transition. Their half-court execution he's been happy with in practice. He says they've got the flexibility to play fast or play half-court. Certainly early on, the Lightning, I think, maybe just jumped them for speed early.
Yeah, I think they did, but then, you know, that experience that Canberra have, they work on that, they slow them down, and then they've made them grind it through in the half-court.
Chris Lucas says that this Adelaide side still working on developing their defensive principles, putting all those pieces together. He wants to develop a style that's fun to watch and fun to play. He's excited about what this team can do defensively.
We'll see how that goes, because they are in foul trouble now. And it might well be that there's not that confidence that that rotation is going to be there. So they try and get across, but they put the body on, and the refs are calling those early in the season.
Melbourne makes the first. Just exploded onto the scene last season for Canberra. After being a development player at the Boomers a couple of years ago, went to the centre of excellence in Canberra. Really announced herself with a stunning season last year as Williams and Simons play 1-2 out of the backcourt. Brook, deep two rather. Wilson on the break. Melbourne, the finish, not quite. Brook to Talbot. He's looking for Simons again. Brittany Sykes, great vision, quick hands.
Yeah, she read that really well, Brittany Sykes. Talbot did the no-look pass, but Sykes was onto it.
So the two imports matched up here, Sykes and Williams. Sykes works to the corner. Can't get the user-friendly bounce.
I think boxing out here with Adelaide is a little bit iffy. Ruth got her hands onto that, and so did another Canberra player, missed that one. But those offensive rebounds, they can't give them up against a team like Canberra.
So Abby Cabillo into the action for Canberra. It has an immediate impact, forces the turnover.
And again, it's just that up and under defense. They're not letting them walk it up. They're not letting them get into their offense or push it up and get that transition, and that's hard for Adelaide.
So Samuels, who's getting minutes in the absence of Kelsey Griffin. She's out with facial fractures, a week-to-week proposition. Melbourne. Cabillo with speed. Lovely find on the inside. Roof can't quite finish. Touch just hasn't quite been there so far this season for Michaela. And Adelaide want to push the tempo.
Personal foul on Jake Melbourne for the first.
Tick under 2 minutes left in the opening term in Canberra. It's the Caps by 2. Marina Whittle will have the ball for the Lightning. Brooke slapped away by Samuels. Remain an Adelaide ball.
Nothing's coming easy for Adelaide right now. With Samuels, quick dig under. It's just that perceived pressure.
Casey actually stepped away from basketball for a couple of years and joined the Sydney Swans AFLW Academy before returning to the hard court. Williams, Simons. Long two is good.
2 points.
Former St Mary's guard. Turnover comes, quick hands. Williams, here's a chance for Simons to add 2 more. And Sam Simons has got 4 points in 20 seconds.
2 more. Sam Simons.
Below through Samuels to Melbourne. Trying to use a mobility advantage on Brooks. Samuels, the long 3. Whittle cleans it up. Minute to play in the opening term. Here's Simons again, and she's hot. She's got 7 points in a minute.
3 points.
We're going to have to get a hand to her. She's like got the hot hand and the touch. Adelaide have dropped back into a zone, and probably because they're in that foul trouble.
Sykes kicks out to Samuels. She has a look. Foul call.
Personal foul number 2. Kiana Williams.
So Sam Simons having exactly the impact Chris Lucas is looking for. Comes off the bench, has 7 points in a minute.
That's a great start for her. Great confidence boost.
Just her second game of WNBL. She's come up through the junior system. The Australian ranked Sam Simons. She's been a couple of seasons in St Mary's as Casey Samuels misses her first. Well, Goris at the bottom of your screen is giving some instructions to Abby Cabillo. Samuels makes the second, reduces the margin to 4. 40 seconds left on the clock in the opening term. Brooke. 3.
Points. Mariana Whittle.
Mariana Whittle has an impact, the veteran. So margin out to 7 now. 5-second differential between game clock and shot clock here for the Caps. Cabillo runs into a dead end here. She's surrounded, manages to get it out to Melbourne. Not exactly how they drew it up, but it worked perfectly. 3 seconds left in the quarter. The whistle goes again. So a broken play, but Melbourne in space, had time, drained the 3 to reduce the margin back to 4.
Good signs for Melbourne at the start of this game. In round 1, it took her a little while to get into the game, but she's on today.
So Whittle to Williams, and they're happy to run the clock out. That's a bright start for the Adelaide Lightning. They head to the opening change with a 4-point lead. It's Adelaide 21, the Caps 17. This is Sunday WNBL.
To everyone who said we're not strong enough, not fast enough, wrong. We're crossover queens, scoring buckets, taking names and hitting no-look threes. We fight for every ball. Until we dunk, hell yeah. When we roll into the court with nothing to lose and everything to prove, you're in for a show. She got style, she got balls, she got belief, she got game.
It's quarter time in Canberra. Promising start from the Adelaide Lightning. Kicked away early, Caps pulled them back in, and then late in the term made a couple of really nice plays. Sam Simons coming off the bench, Alison Downey had 7 points and really got the Lightning going late in that opening term.
Yeah, it's exciting to see, and she ran hard for a couple of those points and then has that confidence to shoot that 3 on the trans, which is really good.
So Simons with 7, Alana Smith with the first 6 points of the game for the Lightning before she picked up a couple of fouls and had to sit down.
Well, interesting to see if that makes an impact on her game. She's had to sit for quite a few minutes. She'll be a bit tentative because she's already got 2 fouls to her name, and you know the fouls are probably a little bit touchy. So you know, does that take her out of her what she does best?
Jade Melbourne has 7 points for the Caps. Britt Sykes, who was in everything in that opening term, has 3, plus a couple of rebounds and an assist to go with that. A couple of steals too. She was really busy, particularly on defence.
Brittany slowed down a little bit. I think she loves that transition and getting out in the open court and taking that one-on-one. But Adelaide seemed to stem that a little bit.
So the Caps playing in front of their home crowd for the first time since lifting the title in the 2019-20 season, because they went back-to-back. They start the second term in possession. This is Wilson. Searching ball, Froling. Sykes in space, steps inside Wilson, drives to the hoop. Slapped away by Bunton. Adelaide ball.
It looks like they've chosen to keep Alana Smith on the bench for a little bit longer.
So 2 early fouls for Smith, but Chris Lucas may be happy with the rotations that he's made, and the players that he's brought on have all had an impact off the bench, so happy to keep that going for the moment. Williams, Whittle, Simons. Badish is into the game. Brook the long 3. It's Bunton back in the league with an over-the-back foul.
It's good positioning there by Badish, and there was nothing else, but Bunton had to foul that one.
Williams. Whittle was looking for the catch and shoot. Instead, she just works to the hoop. The ref rather says it's a charge. She's saying it's inside the circle.
She's got a good argument there, but we'll see it on replay. Yep.
She's spot on. Sykes had the feed inside the no-charge circle. Wilson, deep 2. Whittle was looking for the fast break play. Now they'll set up the half court. Williams, Simons, Brook, back to Simons. There's a real spark plug in that opening term. Nice reverse from Whittle. The veteran having an impact here in this opening half. Speaking of veterans, Wilson. Sykes can't get the deep 2 to go. And it's an Adelaide ball.
And Sykes has had to revert to her pull-up jumper, which isn't quite on for her at the moment. I'm not going to say it's not going to be on for her for the rest of the game, but she was driving to the basket before, but I think Adelaide have tried to stem that flow.
She's none for 4 at the moment. Britt Sykes. There's another Britt checks in. Caps, Britt Smart. Game number 104 for Britt Smart. Naturalised Aussie, originally from Ohio. Badish to Brook, and she draws a foul.
Personal foul on Alicia Froling. Her first personal.
So there's been some good variation on offense so far for Adelaide. At times they've gone fast, other times they've been happy to set up in the half court. They've managed to find their way to the hoop either way.
Yeah, I agree. And on that case, it was just a matter of hitting the screen, and it gave just that little bit of space to get through.
Chelsea Brooke, who's a 79% career free throw shooter, makes both. The margin's out to 8 here. Early stages, second term. WNBL Sunday doubleheader coming to you live on KO. Sykes steps inside. Whittle got a hand in. It still flicks to Bunton. Smart looking for some space. Guarded by Talbot. Has to hoist up a shot to beat the shot clock.
It's good to see that deep. So it looks like Adelaide have now reversed the roles, and they're in there up and under. They're being aggressive on defence, which is putting Canberra out of their offence.
So how are the Caps going to respond here? Lightning just on top as we speak. An 8-point lead. Kiana Williams. And the national champion at college level drains another. There's another turnover. Things going Adelaide's way right now. Kiana Williams really starting to find her feet. Originally from San Antonio. Great career at Stanford. 4 years there. She was an All-American in her senior year. She was the MVP of the Pac-12 tournament. She went on to win a national title with Stanford. Was taken pick 18 in the draft. Hasn't had a lot of WNBA experience as yet, just the 8 games and averaging 3 minutes a game, so she's very early in her journey. So a summer of solid court time and being a leading player in a team like this is going to do her development wonders.
Oh, I think so. And just looking at her stats, she's 2 from 3 from the three-point line, 0 from 0 inside the three-point line. So she loves the three-point game. Canberra need to adjust to that because she could have huge points by the end of this game if they leave her open.
And interesting, Chris Lucas said about Kiana Williams is that it's going to take her a little bit of time to get used to the speed of the WNBL and the physicality compared to, say, college ball, where you've got a 30-second shot clock and you're used to walking the ball up the court. No time for that in this game. You've got to get it and go.
No, that's right. And that's, as I said before, it can take a little while for imports to get used to the game. But I think if she's quite smart, Canberra are going to try and close her out on the 3, up fake, drive around her, and she's got the athleticism to do it.
So margin out at 11 points here. What do you think the message from Paul Goris is right now?
Oh, it'll be locking down on defence. No easy threes like that, but also rotating around, knowing that there could be the drives.
So Adelaide ball. Brooke. Talbot. Yet to score, Steph Talbot. They've put 28 points on in a quarter and a bit without Steph hitting the scoreboard. Slick hands from Sykes, but it'll remain an Adelaide ball. So that a positive in itself. They're finding alternative avenues to score beyond their reigning MVP.
Absolutely, you know, and Alana Smith sitting on the bench. Their bench is coming on with confidence and the ability to shoot.
Williams, really eye-catching first half from Kiana. Just so nimble that first step.
Absolutely, and there it is. They're double teaming her off the screen, so she can't pull up for that shot, but she can split them in the middle.
Scouting report on Kiana. Great handles, great speed, excellent pick and roll player. Shook to Talbot. Pops one over the top. Nicely weighted ball to Whittle. Just can't get it to drop. Chance here for the Caps through Britt Smart. Drives and then kicked it out. A little bit of frustration. She and Sykes not on the same page.
I really like from the play before with Talbot, it's her smarts coming through. There was a mismatch with Whittle and Smart inside. Talbot probably could have propped and taken the shot, but instead went to the potentially easy basket.
So Steph this time plays facilitator for Whittle, and she drains another 3. So Steph almost playing as a decoy at the moment, sitting out on that right flank and just setting up others to score. Bunton to Wilson. Margin out to 14. Caps need to respond here. Sykes, Smart, good ball movement, and the finish.
That's Brittany Smart's game to a T.
Whittle links up with Williams again. A good response from the Lightning.
They're going to need to shut down Whittle now. She's got the confidence up. Hit a 3, pull-up jumper on the foul line. Probably should have made the 2 before on the mismatch. So she's going to make an impact.
She's up to 10 points. Sykes tries to get to the hoop, can't do so. And there's Shook once again with her presence under the basket. So in the first term, it was Sam Simons who came off the bench and had 7 points in a minute. In the second term, it's Marina Whittle, who's had 10 points. Chris Lucas couldn't ask for any more from his role players.
That's right. And what I like about Adelaide is they do play their role and they know their role. And the way that he's coaching is, if you're hot, you're staying on, and then they'll rotate through when you cool down. So, you know, they don't need Alana Smith on there. They don't need Talbot scoring. It's really exciting to see.
Unpredictable and harder to stop as well. Here is Talbot. This time she's inside, kicks it outside. Shook can't make the 3. Brooke keeps it alive. Whittle, Werung. Shook gets to position in the post. Can't finish. Once again, the ball movement from Adelaide, that inside-outside game, really stretching Canberra on defence.
Yep, stretching them and making them close out and then come back in, and then it opens up for those offensive rebounds because they can't box out.
So a somewhat subdued Canberra crowd right now, understandably so. Their team trails by 13.
The foul count has now evened up. It was 6-2 at quarter time, now it's 7 apiece.
Whittle makes the first. She'll turn 28 in January. Originally from Nuttawading in Victoria. She went to North Dakota State. She's been at the Fire. She's been at the Spirit. She's been in Perth. This is her second year in Adelaide. Wilson. Smart. A couple of veterans combining here. Can they work their team back into the contest? Deep 2 there from Wilson. Need that experience and cool heads right now. Just to take control of things, settle it down. Try to stem the bleeding and get the game back on their terms as Whittle flips it back to Talbot. Wants to take on Smart and Bunton. And again, prepared to play facilitator as she kicks it out to Brooke, who drains it. Selfless game so far from Talbot. Hasn't scored herself, but has drawn the opposition defensive attention and been more than happy to share it around.
Substitution coming back on for the Lightning, number 11, Alana Smith.
Canberra now press. Smith back into the game. She had the first 6 for Adelaide. Copped a couple of fouls and sat down. Whittle, Talbot from long range. Smith the rebound. Melbourne. Adelaide get the call. Canberra crowd and players feeling like it should be in the other direction. We'll take another look. First glance, it did look like it might be a Canberra ball. Lightning get the call. Seconds left on the shot clock, but Brown just throws it away straight to Bunton. Wilson to Melbourne. Draws a crowd. Wilson's got some space. Long ball short. Gets her own rebound. Travel on Jade Melbourne. Things just not quite going to plan for the Caps.
It's an interesting call. The travel there, I thought that Jade got the ball down just before she took her little stutter step.
This is Kylie Shook. Colorado Springs via Louisville. Talbot once again out on the right, deep. This time Melbourne for company. Werung tries to get it inside, well read by Bunton. The Caps get the stop. Wilson almost broke her own ankles. Melbourne once again draws a crowd. Roof, Smart sets her feet. And the Caps trying to work their way back. Margin down to 13.
It looks like Adelaide are trying to make the key look really busy, but you can't afford to do that against someone like Brittany Smart. Her scout will say she's a three-point shooter. It's what she's good at. It's her career. She's made her career out of it. So they can't quite afford that one. But then at the same time, there's no open lane for anyone else to be driving into.
So two veteran coaches, two wonderful servants of Australian basketball, Chris Lucas and Paul Goris. Both had an enormous role to play, not only in this league, but also Australian junior systems for such a long time. It's such a positive influence in the lives and careers of so many young basketballers coming up through the ranks.
Tonight could be a little bit of a battle of the coaches because they both have such experience. A little bit undermanned, the Capitals, but just the systems that they're trying to run. You know, they're calling timeouts at the right time, and the two of them are probably going a bit head-to-head as well.
Smart with the intercept. The momentum ever so slightly, just starting to edge back towards Canberra. They've done the first step, which is to stem the bleeding, and Melbourne now cranks it up as the Caps start to make a move. The margin back to 10.
This is what the Caps are good at, and they put a little bit of scoreboard pressure, and then younger teams can capitulate a little bit. So we'll see how Adelaide take it.
Trailed by double figures against Sydney in their opening game of the season and worked their way back late to win the game. So Smith trying to work in the key off the hands of Bunton. Smart tidies it up. Another opportunity here for the Caps. Wide open Jade Melbourne, and she's getting hot. Here come the Caps. It's a 7-point game. Lightning now need to steady. 3 minutes left in the first half. Get into their set. There's a cheap foul on Michaela Roof, who said she was hooked. So important now, Al, from a Lightning perspective, to just slow things down. Don't panic, because the Caps are surging.
Absolutely, and it's probably a bit of a blessing in disguise that Alana's going to the foul line so she can get her eye in, sort of try and knock these two down, because she did sit for quite a while, so she's probably a little bit cold.
4 years at Stanford, Alana Smith, taken at pick 8 in the 2019 draft by the Phoenix Mercury, but as we mentioned earlier, hasn't really played a lot in the last few years, just 62 games in 3 years, had an ankle last season, was set to play in the WNBL, but had to withdraw late. So a good solid summer of court time for her would be perfect, as Smart jacks up another three. Roof, the rebound. Keeps it alive. Melbourne's white hot at the moment. Smart, another offensive board. Bunton leaves it short. Melbourne, Chris Lucas will be tearing his hair out. Eventually, the Lightning get their hands on it. Williams, wide open is Simons. She was good from deep in the opening term. Great response for Adelaide. Wilson, as the tempo suddenly rises, Simon slaps it away. It'll be a Canberra ball. You can't help but think that 20 seconds really critical. Canberra couldn't find the hoop. Adelaide responded to just settle things down a little, marching back out to 11.
They are so lucky. I think what they give out, 4 offensive rebounds there. So in this timeout, it'll be the first thing that Chris Lucas says will be box out, because that's what wins games.
So Jade Melbourne up to 13 points. Britt Smart's got 6. While Whittle has 12 for the Lightning. Simons 10. Smith and Brooks 7 apiece. They're sharing the load. Steph Talbot, the reigning MVP, still yet to score in this game. So still had an impact. We'll talk more about Steph's game at half-time. Right now, her side leads by 11.
good signs for Adelaide because there's a nice even spread on the scorers, and that Talbot hasn't scored. You know, it just shows that they all have to be defended. There's no one player that is better than the others.
So really important 2 minutes, you sense, in this first half. Caps were surging. Chance now for Adelaide to just gather themselves. Those last two plays so critical in extending the lead back out to 11 points. Can the Caps continue that surge, or has this break in play been enough for Adelaide to steady themselves? Wilson needs to get it in, and does to Melbourne. Up to 13 points, goes for three again. This time it's short, may have been touched or tipped. Whistle's gone. Michaela Roof getting really frustrated.
They pop themselves into a zone then, Adelaide, which is good and bad because sometimes that opens up the three, but they get a hand to it. However, again, this box out.
So Alana Smith just looking for clarification, knowing that she got 2 early fouls. That's the third on her. So she will go and sit down with 2 minutes left in the second term.
And that won't help her confidence.
Speaking of confidence, Michaela Roof could do with some here around the hoop. She makes the first. 67% career free throw shooter. Makes them both. 31-year-old from Dayton, Ohio, another naturalised Aussie. Another to have played at Stanford, great college basketball school that is. Talbot, Wareham versus Melbourne, a couple of speedsters. Williams has faded a little bit in the second term. A real impact early. Wareham goes herself. Bunton size a factor. Under 2 minutes. Good find from Wilson. Roof couldn't get the shot away cleanly. Caps will retain possession. Good work defensively there from Chelsea Brook. Wilson was thinking about Melbourne or Smart. Wearing with the rebound. Confronted by Smart. Ball spills loose. Wilson's got a couple in support. Didn't see Melbourne. Found her anyway. And the foul eventually comes. They'll go to the line to shoot 2 more.
Sorry. Adelaide just ran away from Warrington and left her on her own, and Capitals picked that up and came up and put the pressure on her.
So that's 3 fouls on Williams as well. With a minute and a half to play in the opening half. Williams now just looking at the bench to say, am I staying out there or am I coming off? Looks like she's staying out there for the moment. So Jade Melbourne, what a second term she's had. We've spoken about what a dynamic player she is. The sort of player who can just make things happen with her speed and with her long-range shooting. Goris lovingly refers to her as the smiling assassin. Just so positive, so up and about, such a great influence on the group. Just always smiling and happy.
Where does the assassin part come from?
Her long-range shooting, I would imagine.
She doesn't pick off her teammates in training.
Maybe. Here's Williams. On 3 fouls, as we mentioned. Needs to be careful in this last 80 seconds. Whittle. Inside to Shook. Whistle goes again. There's another look. Is it on Bunton here, or is it in the backcourt with Melbourne and Talbot? Yeah. So an off-the-ball foul against Jade Melbourne. Steph Talbot is on the scoreboard. Makes them both. Chris Lucas would be very happy to see his side just steady here. late in this second term. Marching back out to 10. We've got just over a minute remaining to play in the first half. Melbourne wants to keep this up-tempo game going. Almost lost the handle, then threw it away. Roof's there to tidy it up. She's got Smart out on the left. Goes to Wilson. Pressure comes from Talbot. Wilson looking for support. Finds Smart. Nice move. Deep two. Won't drop. Talbot brings it up the floor. Wearing inside to Shook. Working on Bunton. Nice move.
It's a good battle of the bigs in there between those two.
8-second differential between game and shot clock. Offensive foul. Adelaide ball. Foul on Roof. Her third foul as well. And there's that battle you're talking about between Shook and Bunton.
It's just good defense by Bunton, but a great finish by Shook.
There's the foul on Roof, the moving screen. So Roof will sit down with 3 fouls. And Alicia Froling back into the game for this last 24 seconds. So the Lightning, you would expect, will run the clock down here and take one last late shot. Waring sets up. She's got Talbot out to the right. She's got Shook inside the key against Bunton. Comes out now to lay the screen. Waring cuts left, pops it over the top to Shook. Can't get it to go. Talbot the rebound, 3 seconds. Brooke the 3 ball. Not quite. And as we head to the half in Canberra, it's the Adelaide Lightning 46, the Canberra Caps 34.
Yeah, and look, the Capitals have probably had their chance to bridge that gap and get it within under 10. But they just haven't been able to make the many offensive rebounds, but just haven't been able to finish after that. So Adelaide probably a little bit lucky, but I think they'll reset at half-time and come out firing. It
was the Lightning by 4 points at the first change, 21-17. They added 25 points to 17 in that second term, extend their lead back out to 12. As we take a look at the opening half highlights. Kelly Wilson done the bulk of the point work in the first half. Alana Smith really busy early, had 6 early points before getting a couple of fouls and needing to sit down. Kiana Williams really impressive in that opening term.
Yeah, and you know, as we said before, she's got a great 3-point shot. And I think that they're going to start to close her out, and I'd like to see her driving to the basket and creating that way.
Sam Simons was the X factor in the first quarter for Adelaide, just as Jade Melbourne was for the Caps in the second term.
Well, you've got to love Sam Simons. She's 100% from the field at the moment, so maybe she might stop shooting, so she's got the perfect record.
So the Caps went to the deep ball a little bit more in that second term. They brought Melbourne and Smart into the play a lot more.
They did, but they went to their strengths, which is what you need to do in these types of games.
So half-time, it's Adelaide by 12, 46-34. As we take a look at the overall numbers, look at that shooting percentage from the field. 47% for the Lightning, just 24% for the Caps.
Yeah, look, that's obviously something that is letting their game down. They're missing 2 or 3 layups, but they're getting the offensive rebounds and then getting the foul. So they are getting to the free throw line a little bit more. Adelaide did a little bit better in that second quarter, getting to the free throw.
Well, the bench from the Adelaide Lightning had a real impact, particularly in that first quarter. I mean, as a coach, Chris Lucas would be absolutely delighted. He's got role players who need to come on and play a certain amount of minutes. Often it's really just to give the starting players a little bit of breathing time, but players like Simon came on and had a real impact.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they've stayed on because they can, and why not? Why not go to the well until it goes dry? So it's really good to see, and it'd be really confident for the bench players.
So Sam Simons and Marina Whittle. It was Simons early and then Whittle in the second term. So Whittle's up to 12 points. She leads the game for Adelaide. Simons has 10. Smith and Brooke 7 apiece, 6 to Williams. So they've really shared the scoring load around. And Whittle, we've seen her work on the inside and be effective from long range as well. And there's an example of both. The inside ball and then the 3.
And they've gone to what works, and that's probably why they are ahead, because they're picking the players that have the hot hand, but also someone like Talbot takes their best defender, but she's smart enough to find the open players.
So really good from Sam Simons in that, as I mentioned, just a second game of WNBL. To have a youngster be able to come out and have an impact like that makes a big difference. And speaking of youngsters that have an impact, well, Jade Melbourne's exactly that sort of player. Canberra needed someone in the second term to come out and change the momentum of the game a little bit, and it was Jade Melbourne who did it.
Yeah, she did. And it came off the back of good offense. Sometimes the offense didn't quite work out, but they're dragging the players in, kicking it out to Melbourne, and she's making the shots when they count.
Here's a look at Jade Melbourne, as we mentioned during the call. Just came from nowhere last season. She's been an elite junior player in the Australian ranks for a number of years, but at senior level just stepped up last year in her first season. The youngster from Traralgon in Gippsland, Victoria, and just had no fear. Played with no fear. Hit a three-point winner against Perth last season. She's had a great junior career in the Australian team. She's now in the Opal squad as well, and it's players like Jade Melbourne and Shyla Heal that really are that next generation of Opals that we're really looking forward to over the next few years.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing, no fear. You know, I think the way that the coaching is done these days is that they give the confidence for those players. Shoot it when you're open. No shot's a bad shot when you're wide open and it's out of offence.
We mentioned the unorthodox preparation for both these teams. Adelaide, no pre-season. They only got to play a couple of under-18 boys teams locally. That was it. And, of course, from a Caps perspective, as we've mentioned a little bit earlier, their game against the Flames was cancelled after one of the members of the club ended up with a positive COVID test. So all players, coaches and staff had to quarantine for 7 days. So they missed their game last weekend, haven't played for 14 days. We're in quarantine for a week and have had 3 or 4 days to prepare for this game. So from both sides, they're only going to get better as the season rolls on. They've just got to get through these early rounds, get rid of the rust. And, of course, they've both got reasonably new faces in their lineups, particularly Adelaide. It's just going to take a bit of time to gel, but from what we've seen from the Lightning today, Chris Lucas would be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, they've all, you know, they know their role and they're playing their role and they're stepping up when they need it. But they've got that smarts, as I said before. You know, Talbot can create something, but they're not forcing shots and they're not trying to go through 3 people, and they're finding the open players and they have that confidence to shoot it and make it.
Healthy crowd in at Canberra, as there always is. It's the first time they've played in front of their home crowd since they hoisted the trophy in 2019-20. Their second of their back-to-back titles. Such a passionate support base in Canberra. It's been a great basketball heartland, really. The partnership with the AIS over the years and the Centre of Excellence and the Canberra Caps have become a really important, popular part of Canberra sporting culture.
Yeah, and they're a hugely successful team, and you'd have to give credit to their crowd in making that happen. I just hate playing at Canberra. You know, the crowd is very one-eyed, but the atmosphere that you get at those games was always great.
No Kelsey Griffin for Canberra today, their champion player. She's out with facial fractures that she suffered in that Sydney game. At the moment, she's considered a week-to-week proposition, didn't get up for today's game. Here's a statement from Kelsey during the week. I'm still working closely with our team doctor to figure out what the timeline should be. We're weighing up the risks and the rewards. This season isn't a sprint, so we're being smart about it. And that's that same conservative approach we spoke about also with Talia Tapea with the shoulder injury, particularly something as sensitive and delicate as facial fractures. You just can't afford to mess around with that.
No, you'd want that to be completely healed before you're coming back into the game. You know, another knock to it might put her out for another 4 weeks, but if you miss 1 more week, that's a much better result.
3-time championship player, 3-time grand final MVP at this level, a couple of times an all-star defensive player of the year, one of the absolute stars of this competition in the modern era.
I do think she is missed today, though. Just her height, her aggressiveness at the ball, and just the smarts that she brings to the game.
Yeah, very much a glue player, as Paul Goris describes her. She's a player that not only is so good herself, but she makes all the other players around her better.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, those players are sometimes really hard to come by. So if you can find them, you keep them.
So really fascinating to hear your thoughts on the first half game of Steph Talbot. If you weren't watching the game and you just checked your stats on your phone, you'd say, oh, gee, Steph's only had 2 points in the first half. She's been quiet. Sykes has had the better of that matchup. But Steph's had an impact. She's just had it in other ways.
She has, and she's, you know, not even on the scoreboard. She's got a couple of assists. She's got 5 rebounds, which is good, but she takes away that defender, which opens up the court for somebody else to take that spot.
It's been a very interesting, selfless sort of a first half from Steph Talbot. We've seen her just play down that right side just like that so many times, and then that's a perfect example. Rather than go herself, she could try to put that shot up. She saw that Chelsea Brook was open, and Chelsea acknowledged it and hit the three.
Yep. And that's, again, the confidence that Talbot has in her teammates that, that's a better shot and they're going to score that. And then puts herself in a really good position for an offensive rebound.
27 years of age, Steph Talbot, originally from Mount Barker in South Australia. What a career she's had. She first joined the Adelaide Lightning at the age of 17. She was the Rookie of the Year in the WNBL in 2013. She spent 4 years at the Adelaide Lightning. She was off to the Caps for a couple of years. She's played in Poland. She's played in Phoenix. She's played in France. She's played for the Melbourne Boomers, then at Minnesota and Seattle, and then a super season last year when everything really came together and clicked for her. She won the Susie Batkovic medal for MVP of the league. She was the Defensive Player of the Year and in the All-Star 5. Really just came into her own, and she's such a versatile player, and as we've seen today, such a selfless one as well.
Yeah, and that's what I like about her game is that she's got that defensive aspect. It's a really strong part of her game, but she also can score whenever she wants to, unless she's shut down, but then she finds the open player.
What do you think the message in the two coaches' rooms are at half-time? Let's start with Chris Lucas, who went into the game telling us quite candidly he wasn't exactly sure what to expect. They've had this unusual lead-up and preparation, and he feels the team's going to only get better every time they play and gel. What do you think his message is at half-time?
I think his main message will be box out. So they've 15 offensive rebounds. You want to keep the team under 10 in a game. So he'll be disappointed with that. But I think what he'll try and do is just say, keep going to what works and playing the game as they've been playing it. You can't really fault what they've done offensively. They've found the open players. They've got the confidence to shoot. I think what's letting them down is those offensive rebounds.
And from Paul Gorris's perspective, slowish start, worked their way back into it midway through that opening term, and then Sam Simon stepped up and had 7 points in a minute to again see the Lightning kick clear. Caps started to work their way back into the game midway through that second term, and then the Lightning managed to steady. What's Paul Gorris's message?
I think his message will be focused on defence and rotation. So if you're getting beaten, then those rotations that are coming, and when they do that, they're going to stop Adelaide from what they're good at. So defence for them, lock them down, grab the rebounds, take it up there, and then make Adelaide play defence. Try and draw some more fouls like they did in that first quarter. Put them under that pressure with the fouls and get to the foul line.
Here's Abby Cabillo, the youngster, Casey Samuels, who's come in essentially as a depth player, but with the absence of Kelsey Griffin now getting to play some minutes and getting the opportunity to get involved. This game one of our WNBL Sunday doubleheader. Tonight from 7 p.m. Eastern, we'll take you to Bendigo for game two. It's Bendigo hosting the Melbourne Boomers from 7 p.m. right here live on KO. And that one's going to be an interesting matchup as well. The Bendigo Spirit knocking off the Boomers, shocking the Boomers just 11 days ago by 5 points. The Boomers since then have had 2 great wins over the Southside Flyers, but one of those was last night in Dandenong in a very hot and humid stadium, so they're having to back up 24 hours later.
Yeah, and looking at the score sheet, I think 4 out of their starting 5 had over 30 minutes, so they may have those tired legs and Bendigo might be able to do it again.
So join us from 7 p.m. tonight on KO for that one, the Spirit and the Boomers. There is Kelsey Griffin watching on. Just team trails by 12 at the half.
Okay, Canberra, here we go. Got work to do. Let's get behind these girls.
So second half action from the National Convention Centre in Canberra. It's the Lightning leading the Caps by 12 points. Jason Bennett alongside Alison Downey. Great to have you with us for our game one of our Sunday WNBL doubleheader. Lightning start with the ball. Werung. Talbot. Now to Whittle. Talbot from the top of the arc. Can Canberra regain some of that momentum. They got hot midway through that second term. Started to eat into the Lightning lead before Adelaide steadied late. They do that work again. Sykes creates some space and drains the two.
That's a great start.
Werrun to Shook. It's been a great battle between Shook and Bunton. He floats it in. Whittle tries to work on Melbourne, had the size advantage.
And Adelaide have done that really well. They've found mismatches and they've gone straight to them.
Margin 14 points. Melbourne thought about the three. Talbot almost the steal. And Sykes get hot from the free throw line. Leaves it short. Roof battles. Talbot beats her for the ball. Throws it wide right. Whittle sets up. Great response again from the Lightning. Making the big shots and the big moments. And the margin's out to 17.
Whittle's having a great game today, and I love that they just keep going to her, and she's getting the court time that she deserves, and they'll do it until she goes cold, I feel.
Another turnover. Whittle up to 17 points. Played 14 minutes in the opening game. She's having a much bigger role to play here. Werrun, Talbot. Great find from Werrun. Talbot's shot was just a little short. She fights her way through and finishes. Well, this really is action stations now for the Capitals. Find themselves in a 19-point hole early in the second half. Sykes off to Bunton. Good D again. Stripped of it by Talbot. Whittle. Brook. Shook. Can't finish from there. Roof. Long ball. Talbot got a hand. Deflects off Melbourne. Adelaide ball. Frustration building for the Caps.
Talbot has been just about in every single play, offensively and defensively, in the first 3 minutes of this quarter.
And again, so much of it's not going to show up on the stat sheet. It's not a stat-filling game for Steph Talbot, but she's been so influential. This is exciting for Lightning fans, just seeing this team start to come together. Maybe Marina Whittle's got a much bigger role to play than some expected. Werrun off the iron to Wilson. And again, they almost get the steal. This time Melbourne does. There's Talbot again. This time with the block.
That one will
Can Werrun finish? Looks for Whittle inside. Finds her. Can't get it to drop. And that would have been a knee trembler. Sykes. Good find to Roof. And Whittle crashes in and gives away the foul. And there is a little bit of blood around the mouth of Marina Whittle from that contact a couple of minutes earlier.
Personal foul number 2 for Marina Whittle.
It's a great block.
Talbot once again.
Coming back on for the Lightning, number 12, Samantha.
And when Chris Lucas says this team is just starting to gel and just starting to evolve, it is exciting from a Lightning perspective to see that players that maybe are earmarked to be a role player or a depth player suddenly step up and say, you know what, I've actually got more to offer than that. Different looks, different lineups to take on different opposition.
And that's the beauty of it, and that's what Chris Lucas has got to play with. And there's going to be games that Mariana Whittle doesn't have a great game, but someone else will step up.
Roof can't get the second to go.
They also won't have that pressure on them to be scoring 20 points every game.
Talbot, Simons, Werung, nowhere to go, so she just goes at the hoop. Sykes. They need a spark. No Kelsey Griffin out there. So the veteran steps up and delivers. Kelly Wilson nails the three. It's the cap she can. Simons looking to work to position on Wilson. Receives now. Here's Batish. Over the top. Great D from Sykes. Frustration for her. Ref calls for the foul. Push over the back.
She's probably athletic enough that that isn't a foul, but it just doesn't look great from a referee's point of view, and they'll call them 9 times out of 10.
Here's another look. She'd be saying that I basically just elevated and didn't really get into her back at all, but as you say, looks like a foul, even if it isn't. Werung. Simons pops the pass to Batish. Good pressure from Bunton. Forces her to kick it out. Quick hand Smith. Simons can't beat the shot clock. And you can feel this momentum starting to shift in Canberra, and the big home crowd getting behind the Caps.
And defence is, they say, defence wins games, offence sells tickets. But if they can keep putting that pressure on Adelaide, it puts them in a good chance.
Britt Smart's back into the game. You really see the leadership of Wilson and Sykes in this third term, taking on the responsibility themselves. Once again, Talbot doing all the hard work. Smith thought about the give, went herself, and is fouled. Kelly Wilson, what a warrior, what a competitor.
I think that there for Smith is probably that lack of games that she's played. She's a little bit, you know, do I give it off? Do I take it myself? You know, that flow of the game, she's probably missing at the moment. So, but worst case, she's got 2 foul shots.
Foul on Sykes. She's racked up a couple in a hurry. She's got 2. Lana Smith up to 8 points. Make that 9. And once again, when it matters most, Adelaide just finding a way. It's back out to 17 points. Every time it feels like the Caps are surging and making a run, you look up at the scoreboard and somehow Adelaide have managed to shut them down again. Roof, fancy footwork. Williams, mindful of Smart, Simons, Smith has 3 to beat. Gets her own board, can't finish. Again, some pressure from the Caps, forcing another stop.
And again, there's a little bit of that inexperience or lack of game play for Alana, probably out with foul trouble where Talbot's out there on her own. She's double teamed, but she's not finding the open player.
Smart works with Wilson. Works her way to the free throw line, now backs out. 4 left on the shot clock. Bunsen, the fadeaway is good.
Can't guard that.
Williams, can she get involved for the Lightning? Started like a house on fire. Hasn't had quite the same influence since. Simons, Smith, Roof working on her. And the offensive foul on Alana Smith. That'll be her 4th. Alison Downey, your thoughts?
Oh, I think Smith has been a little bit consumed by the referees. Frustrated getting those 2 quick fouls. Then her 3rd foul was pretty quick in that 2nd quarter. You know, it's taking a toll on her. And I think, you know, that's just that, as I said before, a little bit of inexperience, missing a few games, not playing a huge amount of games over the time that she's been in the league. And, yeah, frustrations there.
15-point margin, just over 2 minutes left in the 3rd. Froling back out to Sykes, drives, can't get it to drop, gets her own rebound, goes again, well done Shook, got a hand in there, Sykes sticks at it, in the end the turnover comes. Good D there from Adelaide. No room at all for Britt Sykes to work in there. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists for Sykes.
That's the thing with Canberra, they haven't been able to string together 2 or 3 stops and then scores. And that's probably why the scoreboard isn't growing smaller for them.
Williams for 3, short. Move off to Smart. Froling posts up, Smart, Sykes, Roof. Now Wilson wants to draw Roof in the screen. Gets herself to the baseline, out to Sykes. She drives up the lane. Little tap in, doesn't go for Froling. Canberra get it back, 1:30 left. Roof, again Shook, that rim protection. She's been an absolute wall for the Lightning so far in this game. Constant presence under the rim.
Then she uses her body really well, so she doesn't get those body fouls often, and then she's got her long limbs that just pick off those balls.
Talbot to Simons. Lovely little runner there from Sam Simons. She's showing some class in game 2.
Yeah, and she's been quite smart with her shots. She's taken the right ones, hence her still being 100%, I think.
So Sykes goes to ground. Foul will be on Steph Talbot. Really impressive performance from Sam Simons, 21-year-old from Forestville in Adelaide. As I mentioned, a couple of years at St Mary's. Came through the Centre of Excellence in Australian junior teams. Won gold with the Australian under-17 team at the World Cup in 2016. Promising college career at St Mary's, but elected to opt out of her junior year due to COVID, wanting to stay closer to home. Cabillo into the game for Canberra. Sykes for 3, they need it. It won't drop. Final minute, 3rd term, 17-point lead for Adelaide. Whittle. Shook. Tries to work on Froling.
Did he just call a jump ball then?
Let's have a look. Caps bench was straight up.
I thought it might have been a travel.
I think it was called as travel. Wilson. Froling lost the handle. Adelaide gets the ball. So great opportunity here for Adelaide. 3-second differential. Run this right down. Take the last shot of the quarter. Close to it at least. Is Williams. Shook. Now Whittle. Simons. Williams, shot clock down to 8. Shook wants to work on Froling. Little give inside to Simons. And one.
Personal foul number 2 for Kelly Wilson.
Unlucky on Kelly. She's just a bit off balance there, I think.
So not in the act of shooting. So their sideline ball for the Lightning with 6.5 left. What can they work here? Well done, Cabillo. She read it well. Williams still has time to gather. 2 seconds left as she puts it up. Won't get there. It will still be an Adelaide ball. Time expires. And at three-quarter time at the National Convention Centre in Canberra, it is the Lightning in control. They lead by 17 points. It's Adelaide 59, the Caps 42. Basketball's flagship competition, the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup, heading to Australia in September of 2022. Over 10 action-packed days at Sydney Olympic Park. 12 powerhouse basketball nations will battle it out for the world title, and you can sign up for first access to tickets at womensworldcup.basketball. Fantastic to have a showcase of world basketball right here in Australia next year. It's going to be a great little boost for the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see it because I think basketball has fallen away a little bit in the country, but I think bringing that back in will, you know, revive the sport.
An interesting time for the Opals too. There's a bit of a generational change happening right now, and we may well see a very different looking Opals lineup come September next year.
Yeah, I think so. But again, when we're watching these games, and I know that we're only a couple of rounds into the WNBL, but you can see the talent that's coming through, the young talent, and the more games they get into them, the smarter they become, the better they become, and you know, the future's looking bright for Australian basketball.
Put yourself in the shoes of the two coaches. We'll start with Paul Goris. His side trails by 17. They came from behind a couple of weeks ago. Can they do it again?
Look, I think what's showing now is the fact that they've been in isolation. They haven't been able to train. They haven't got that touch. 18% from the field. You know, how often would that happen for the Capitals? So I would say he's going to say, keep going to it. Run your offences, play the game. The shots will drop eventually, but you can't be disheartened by that.
Final term from the Convention Centre in Canberra. Adelaide start in possession. They lead by 17. They led by 4 points at the first change, 12 at the half, and then added 13 points to 8 as scoring really dried up for both teams in that third term. Defences from both sides started to get on top. Of course, from a Canberra perspective, they need to open the game right up in this last term. They need it free-flowing. They're to haul in this deficit. Simons to Shook. Now Williams, guarded by Cabillo. Looking for an option. The option's Brook. Whittle over the top. Shook, good position. Works on Samuels. Lovely again from Kylie Shook. She just looks like a solid pro, doesn't she? She does. She hasn't impacted the scoreboard too much, but when it goes in there, she draws players. They have to defend her, and she'll get the rebounds if she picks it out. Hasn't had a lot of training. She's had some issues, obviously, with quarantine coming in from the US. So she's just going to get better as games go on in terms of her conditioning and her touch. Cabillo out to Samuels. Can she respond for Canberra? Whittle's been so influential. Williams sets her feet. Whittle again tries to toss it into Alicia Froling. We've spoken about the journey that Whittle's been on around this league and, in fact, around the world playing college ball. And again, we talk about seasoned pros who can come in and play a role, and we're seeing that from Whittle today. She's been so important for Adelaide.
I think she's found a really good fit in the Adelaide team, which is really good for her.
She's got a real role to play, doesn't she? And one that suits her as well. Here's Froling, receives the bounce pass and steps on the baseline. So it's just the little things that aren't going Canberra's way all day, as you mentioned. Now they look like a team that hasn't had a solid preparation, a bit rusty.
Yeah, and then the frustrations come through, and then there's little things like that when you try and do too much.
Just compounds, doesn't it? Cheap foul there on Cabillo.
Personal foul number 1 for Abby Cabillo.
So game-high 20-point lead for the Lightning. Williams, Brooke, Simons, back to Brooke. Some of their ball movement today has been outstanding on offense. Quick hands.
Yeah, that really hasn't. Even though they haven't had a great preparation, they know their offense quite well, and they know when they're going to get those mismatches. But they're also seeing, I guess, the open player straight away, and they're not hesitating on those passes, which opens the game for them.
So no pre-season games for the Lightning other than 3 scratch games against some under-18 boys teams in Adelaide. Obviously had a lot of scrimmages themselves, amongst themselves, and that helps work on that, the chemistry and the quick hands and the understanding between players. Marching out to 22. Kelly Wilson, just ageless. Endless bounds of energy. Cabillo, here's the late call from Roof. Chelsea Brooke, another who's playing her role today for Adelaide. Simons inside. Shook. Can't make a drop on this occasion. Roof gathers it in for the Caps. Cabillo calls the half court. Works her way to the baseline, kicks it out. Wilson sets up, sets her feet, can't get it to drop. And that shooting percentage today is one that I want to wipe off the board at the end of this game. They're shooting at just 18%. They're 7 for 39. Williams, little teardrop is good.
They can't get too disheartened by it, though, because they're taking good shots and they're wide open, so you have to keep taking them. And, you know, I guess now you start to say, all right, well, we're preparing for next week.
What have we got there, Joe?
Oh, I think we need to get moving again.
Kiana Williams
We got lots of energy.
up to 8 points. Whittle's got 17, 12 apiece for Simons and Brooke, 9 for Smith, 8 for Williams. It's been a really healthy spread for Adelaide. For the Caps, Jade Melbourne has 14. Most of those came when she got on a run in the third term. 7 for Wilson, 6 for Smart, 5 each to Roof and Sykes. It just hasn't been quite the spread of options for the Caps as there has been for the Lightning.
No, that's right. And look, Sykes is 1 from 11. Froling, none from 3. None from 2 inside for Smart. She's 2 from 5 from the 3-point line. But, you know, it's just a little bit of that touch that they're missing, that they're getting good shots in terms of field goals attempted. They're leading with 39 to 35.
And credit Adelaide's defence as well. Blocks 7-1. They have been really strong under the hoop and around the hoop. Talbot, Brooke, and Shook. Been a constant presence in there. So 7:47 left in game 1 of our Sunday WNBL doubleheader. Game 2 coming up from 7 p.m. Eastern tonight right here on KO. It's the Bendigo Spirit hosting the Melbourne Boomers. Ball's in the hands of Michaela Roof. To Wilson. Great quick hands from Williams. Lays in another 2. Two very different imports for Adelaide. A really smart, quick guard in Kiana Williams, and then really solid big that they can build their defence around in Kylie Shook. Slick hands there from Williams.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen too often against Kelly Wilson. It's well done by Williams.
Number 11, Lana Smith.
So Lana Smith back in the game. It's been a frustrating one for her. She's got 9 points, but 4 fouls. 2 of those came early. After she had the first 6 of the game for Adelaide. Roof just hasn't quite been able to get that shooting touch yet. She keeps putting up shots, just not dropping for her at the moment.
She's another player. Once she starts to make them, she'll be able to make a big impact on this team.
So Williams showing some great signs, being a really handy pickup here for the Lightning, and there's some frustration for Sykes, an off-the-ball foul, her third.
Personal foul number 3 against Sykes.
So Kelsey Griffin, a week-to-week proposition for the Caps, not easily replaced. Smith offline, banks it in for 3.
Hope she called that.
Probably figures she's due for a bit of a change of fortune. Got some luck there. 30-point margin. Sykes, Roof, Bunton. Again, pressure under the hoop from Shook is enough. And Roof puts it in. Just has not been easy points under the hoop today for Canberra. Adelaide have had a great presence around the rim. Here's Shook. Wants to show us something on offense. Decides to pop it out, but turns it over. Sykes has got Melbourne in the open court. Jade Melbourne's up to 16 points.
It's good by Canberra. You know, they could have just gone, we'll write this game off. That's it. Let's just go through the motions. But they're still in their systems. They're still up and in on defence. You know, they're running the floor. So it's really good to see because, as I said, they've got to prepare for the rest of the season so early on.
And for most of these teams, it's a bit of a race against time, isn't it, to get up to full speed, to try and fast-track your development, fast-track your chemistry, and even fast-track your setups and try to work out what your different structures are going to be. So even if you are treating this as a high-intensity training session, there's still a lot to be gained from the last 6 minutes.
Absolutely. And as you said before, you know, any team can beat any team on their day. So you've got to get it right, drill it as you can, and then have that confidence to run it out when you need to.
Yes, Sam Simons, she's been really impressive. 12 points in her second game of WNBL. One of the most pleasing things you would think for Chris Lucas today is just the way in which players have stepped up and played their role, found their role, found a niche for themselves in this lineup.
I think that's what Chris Lucas is good at, is giving that confidence to his players. You know, I think any team that he's coached, you can tell that all his players have that confidence to take that shot, to do what they do best, and they know what they can do best, and they know what they bring to the team. And if they bring a little bit more, then that's just an added bonus.
Talbot with the inbound to Williams. Press from Canberra. Lightning almost got through. Well played, the Caps. Wilson wins it back for the home team. Sykes goes left, pulls up, it's short. There's Roof again. So some confidence from Michaela Roof. Gets a couple of inside baskets. Williams, and there's Roof once again involved off her, so it'll be a Adelaide ball. But as you mentioned, individual players can pick up some confidence in the last 5 or 6 minutes of this game as well.
Yeah, and that'll be key for them because depending on Kelsey being out for however long that is, players like Roof, you know, if she can get her touch and start to score, it'll make a huge impact.
Talbot to Williams. Wilson up in her face once again. Smith sags off. Back to Wilson, showed a bit of it, rather to Williams, showed a bit of it to Wilson. Talbot from the corner knew it was good from the moment it left her hand. 10 points for Talbot. Doesn't tell the full story of her game though. She's been so influential. Melbourne, slick feet, but hands miss Roof, and again the frustration for Michaela.
But again, a great offense and almost pulled it off, didn't quite, but you know, you've just got to keep running at it.
Again, we we see Canberra press. Talbot. Knocked out of her hands by Sykes. Adelaide will retain possession. So, again, Canberra trying something different here, which then gives Adelaide the opportunity now to work out how to work through this for future games where they get this real strong, hard, aggressive press.
Absolutely. I love seeing a press in the modern game because it's a fast-paced game and creates steals, and people don't know how to play against presses.
Williams shook. Wirrung. Williams again. Beats the shot clock but can't make it drop. Talbot fights for it under the hoop, but it's over and out. So under 5 minutes remaining in Canberra. Couldn't quite handle it cleanly, and Shook shows us her range. Off Wirrung. Adelaide retain possession. Talbot to Smith has the size advantage on Sykes. Called. So some good signs here for Alana Smith, you'd say. She's up to 12 points. It's been a frustrating day for her. As soon as she started to get a bit of momentum in the game, she's had some foul issues. But she showed glimpses that she's going to be a very handy pickup for the Adelaide Lightning.
Yeah, you can see that the talent is absolutely there and it will come. But the good thing about her and for her is that her teammates can step up when they need to, but can also bring her back into the game when she needs it.
A couple of really tough matchups when you put Smith and Talbot together. Two players that are quite difficult to match up on.
Absolutely, and then, you know, you might think you can do a job on those two, and then Whittle comes into the game. So they've got a good recipe here for success, and if they can keep playing like they did today, you know, you should see them in finals.
Wilson off to Smart. Now Melbourne wants to use her speed to blow by Wirrung and does. Melbourne up to 18. Talbot to Simons, back to Talbot. It's a screen from Simons, wants to go herself. Smart stuck to the task and wins the turnover. Steph Talbot disagrees with the call. Let's have another look. Off her knee.
She's a bit unlucky not to have a foul on that drive, at least at one point on her way to the basket.
Sykes, Melbourne again will drive. Has a look but won't drop. Talbot to Simons in the corner. Works into the key, stripped of it. Melbourne on the break, has got Wilson alongside, goes herself, and once again can't get it to drop, but Sykes will tidy it up. Some good, slick defensive hands from Smart, dislodged it from Simon's grasp. Sykes the beneficiary for two more.
And you can see that Paul's probably given them that instruction. Don't back down. Keep defending. Keep pushing hard. You know, they haven't stopped. They're not just going through the motions, as I said before. So it's all building and building.
So Aussie Hoops is basketball's national junior participation program, introducing kids aged 5 to 10 to basketball. They learn and improve their fundamental movement skills, as well as basics like teamwork and cooperation, which will benefit them both on and off the court. And most importantly, they have fun, they make friends. The success of Aussie Hoops can easily be measured on the smiles of more than 100,000 kids that do the program each year. Gives them the basis to progress into basketball competitions. To find where your kids can start a lifelong enjoyment of basketball, visit Aussie Hoops, which can be found at aussiehoops.basketball/find a program. Registrations for Term 1 programs are now open. Lightning by 25. Just over 3 minutes remaining in Game 1 of our WNBL Sunday doubleheader. The Boomers and the Spirit coming your way from 7 p.m. Eastern tonight here on KO. Melbourne buzzing about, tries to force the turnover and does. Wilson pounces. And once again, the pressure. Forces the turnover. This time it's slick hands from Smart and the finish. So some positives here for Canberra as they ratchet up this defensive pressure. Margin back to 20. Talbot flips it to the corner. Williams no space to work in. Adelaide ball.
Sorry, I like the look of this press. It's disruptive. It's up and in, and Adelaide are really struggling with it. And a lot of point guards do struggle with that pressure from a press, but often teams sort of just run away and not look back and see that their point guard is being double, triple teamed.
So Williams fouled in that last play, so she'll head to the line. Anna Williams into double figures this afternoon. And a really important part to play, running the point. Makes both. She's an 83% free throw shooter through college. Sykes drives and scores. Good signs again late here for the Caps, reminiscent of this second quarter when they started to get a bit of momentum before Adelaide managed to shut them down. And once again, we see them pressing hard on Williams. Werung inside to Smith. Turns into contact. Wilson, lovely look away feed to Melbourne. And that's 3 now that Jade's rattled out. Talbot off to Werung. So an interesting challenge here for Adelaide to work their way through this press. Talbot finds Williams in the corner. They look to spread this Canberra defence. Werung back to Talbot. Williams from deep is good.
It's quite good that Canberra are putting this press on the Lightning, because it's another thing, when you win by so much, sometimes you just sort of leave the game as that, but it's showing a weakness that they can work on. Smart
From deep once again. She's found her range this afternoon. Britt Smart up to 12 points. Was in the starting 5 this afternoon in the absence of Kelsey Griffin. Again, Smith in and under. Gets her own board and is fouled. Her frustration continues. Feels like she could have been called for an earlier one.
Wondering if she was asking for an unsportsmanlike foul to be called.
So she'll head back to the line. She's got 14 points. She's made 5 of 6 from the stripe today. Real animated character on court. Alana Smith will provide great energy for this Lightning team. Makes both. Final minute in Canberra. Froling. Sykes. Smart again from long range. Not this time. Once again, Talbot comes down with the board. Wants to take Melbourne on. Back inside to Werrung. Sykes applying the pressure. Williams versus Smart. A little cheek foul there on Britt Smart.
Personal foul number 2 for Britt Smart.
So Williams back to the line. The 22-year-old from San Antonio has shown plenty this afternoon. Up to 17 points. Hesitation from Wilson. Buys herself some space and almost throws it away. Melbourne gathers it in just inside the line. Drives, kicks, misses Smart. Could be the final play of the game here for the Lightning. We're unhappy to hold it up. Melbourne trying to force it into error. Goes herself. Lovely little give to Talbot. Nice exclamation mark on what's been an excellent performance from the Adelaide Lightning.
It's almost the perfect offense there.
Wilson with the final shot. And the Adelaide Lightning is on the board. A fantastic road win over the Caps in Canberra. They squared their ledger at 1-1. And that will make for a very Merry Christmas break for the Lightning as they head back to Adelaide. All the players get to go home to their home ports over the break. They can regroup and get set for their clash with the Melbourne Boomers on December 30. Frustrating afternoon for the Caps. They're also now 1-1. They'll dust themselves off. They'll be back in action hosting the Bendigo Spirit in Canberra on Wednesday night. It's Adelaide Lightning 88, the Canberra Caps 62.
Look, and Canberra can take a lot of positives out of that game. Their shooting percentage, not great, but they got so many open looks. So I think, you know, they won't be too disheartened by that. They'll be able to see it, build it, and grow on that for the next few games.
Whittle and Williams finished with 17 points apiece, 16 for Smith, 12 each to Brooke and Simons. So 5 players in double figures, just 2 for the Caps. Jade Melbourne had 18 points, Britt Smart had 12, Roof, Sykes and Wilson all finishing with 9. And it was the Lightning extending their lead at every change. They led by 4 points at the first change, 12 at the half, 17 at three-quarter time, and they run out 26-point winners, 88-62.
Yeah, and things went really well for Adelaide tonight. Their shooting percentage is really high. Their free throws 19 from 20. So I don't think they got there in the first quarter, but then they obviously worked on that. And to get to the line like they did and shoot at 95%, you know, that's essentially the deficit of the game.
19 of 20 free throws compared to 10 of 14 for the Caps. Caps really ratcheted up that full court pressure. 15 steals to 4 for the Caps. As we take a look at the full-time stats, 26-point win to Adelaide, and you look at that shooting percentage for the Capitals, just 28%. There was a fair bit of ring rust in all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, 79 shots to 62. So they probably had more of the ball. They had some really good open shots. They worked hard early. They got those offensive rebounds, but they just couldn't put it back in.
So as we mentioned throughout the call, probably the most pleasing thing for Adelaide Lightning coach Chris Lucas is how this team has come together, and the roles are starting to emerge and players are putting their hand up and saying, hey, I can fill this niche and I can fill that niche. And today we saw the likes of Whittle and Simons coming off the bench. They did their job. Kiana Williams has shown that she's able to run the offense and really run the point here and set up a good system for Adelaide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I haven't seen the numbers on minutes played, but that would be quite an even spread too, I would say. So, you know, that confidence that they play with and the confidence that that Chris has to go, well, Steph's not scoring, but I can put somebody else in and they're going to do the job.
Only 22 years of age, Kiana Williams, as I mentioned, from San Antonio via Stanford, and then taken at pick 18 in the draft by Seattle last season. Only played the 8 WNBA games and averaged 3 minutes a game, just coming off the bench as a young rookie. So a summer playing fast, physical ball here in Australia is going to do wonders for her.
Yeah, it'll just grow her game. And, you know, I think in a couple of games we're going to see her have a little breakout.
So really impressive performance from the Adelaide Lightning. 26-point winners, extending their lead at every change. Really good spread of contributors. And they'll head back to Adelaide very happy with the Ledger squared at 1-1. That's game one of our two-game WNBL Sunday doubleheader. Coming up at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight, it's the Bendigo Spirit hosting the Melbourne Boomers right here on KO. Al, thanks very much for your company. Really enjoyed that.
That's a great game.
Congratulations to the Adelaide Lightning. They're 1-1 on the season. We'll see you back here 7 o'clock for the Spirit and the Boomers right here on KO.